Welcome to English is Easy, the podcast where we explore how to learn smarter, not harder, and find balance in the sometimes overwhelming world of education. I'm Anna, and alongside me is Daniel. Together, we'll share stories, tips, and honest conversations about the challenges and victories that come with studying.
Whether you're a student feeling stressed before exams, a lifelong learner trying to find your rhythm, or someone simply curious about how to make learning easier and more enjoyable, you're in the right place. We understand that studying isn't just about facts and deadlines. It's about mindset, habits, and sometimes even feelings.
So, if you've ever felt stuck, distracted, or overwhelmed by your workload, you're not alone. Today, we're diving deep into the real emotions behind studying, sharing practical ways to find focus and motivation, and helping you feel more confident in your ability to learn.
Get comfortable, grab a cup of tea or coffee, and join us as we talk about the ups and downs of studying, how to build effective habits, and why kindness toward yourself might be the best tool you have.
Daniel, I've been sitting here for 2 hours with my books open, trying to focus on my history notes, but my mind keeps wandering to random thoughts like what I'm going to cook for dinner, and honestly, I feel both frustrated and guilty because I know I should be making progress, but it feels like I'm just stuck in a loop of unproductive thinking.
I totally understand that feeling, Anna, because there have been days when I've stared at the same page for so long that the words started looking like strange symbols instead of actual sentences, and it made me feel not only tired but also a bit defeated, as if all my motivation had been drained out of me by some invisible force.
It's strange, isn't it? How we can plan our study schedules so perfectly on paper with colorful pens and neat little time slots, and then when the moment comes to actually sit down and do it, the weight of the task suddenly feels heavier than it did in our imagination, leaving me with this mix of anxiety and reluctance.
Yes, and sometimes I think the heaviness comes from expecting ourselves to perform perfectly every single time we study, which sets up this quiet pressure in the background that makes it harder to even start. And I've noticed that when I let go of that pressure and just aim for small, consistent effort, I actually feel lighter and more in control.
I wish I could think like that more often because right now my heart is racing as I imagine all the chapters one haven't reviewed yet, and my stomach twists a little because it feels like I'm already running out of time, even though I still technically have a week before the exam.
That's exactly why I've started telling myself that every page I read is a small victory. And I even keep a little notebook to write down what I've learned each day, which makes me feel a genuine sense of progress and pride instead of constantly comparing myself to the unrealistic idea of finishing everything at once.
When you say it like that, I realize I've been so focused on the giant mountain of material ahead that I haven't celebrated the tiny steps I've already taken, and maybe that's why I feel so drained, because I'm only seeing what's left, not what I've accomplished.
Exactly. And I think that's where self-compassion comes in, because the more I treat myself like a friend rather than a harsh critic, the more energy I find to keep going, and it's almost as if my brain responds better to kindness than to constant pressure.
That makes sense, and now that I think about it, the times when I studied with a calmer mindset were the times I remembered the most, which makes me feel hopeful that maybe I can turn this week into something productive without burning myself out.
You absolutely can. And one thing I do when I feel my focus slipping is to step away for a short walk or stretch, because changing my environment even for 5 minutes makes me feel refreshed, and when I come back, the page that once looked impossible suddenly feels manageable.
I think I'll try that today because honestly right now my shoulders feel tense and my eyes are heavy, and I can sense that if I don't take a break, I'll end up sitting here pretending to study, but actually just scrolling on my phone to distract myself from the guilt.
That's such a common trap, and I've fallen into it so many times, which is why I now keep my phone in another room when I'm studying, because the freedom from notifications instantly reduces my anxiety and gives me a feeling of control over my attention.
It's interesting how small habits like that can change everything because when I imagine myself studying without constant distractions, I actually feel a small wave of relief, almost like I can breathe more deeply just thinking about it.
And that's the power of preparation, not just in terms of the material we're studying, but in creating a study space and mental state that feels safe and calm, because when our environment supports our focus, our mind naturally follows along.
I guess that's why I always feel more relaxed when I clean my desk before studying, because the physical clarity seems to bring emotional clarity too, and it makes me feel like I'm starting fresh rather than diving into chaos.
Exactly. And pairing that with a simple routine like having a glass of water nearby or listening to soft background music can make the whole process feel less like a chore and more like a personal ritual that you actually look forward to.
I like that idea because thinking of studying as a ritual feels gentler and more enjoyable than thinking of it as a battle, and just imagining that shift already makes me feel more at peace about opening my books today.
And when you end each session, write down just 3 things you learned, no matter how small, because that sense of tangible achievement will slowly train your brain to associate studying with progress instead of stress.
I'm going to do that, and honestly, hearing you speak about studying in such a kind, encouraging way has already made me feel lighter, as if a bit of the heaviness I've been carrying in my chest has started to lift.
I'm glad, Anna, because studying isn't just about memorizing facts, it's about building a healthy relationship with learning, and when you treat yourself kindly through the process, you'll not only remember more but also enjoy the journey along the way.